What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, reviewing today Call of Duty World War II. For this video, I have to handle things a bit differently than usual because this project is basically 3 completely different games combined on one disc. There's the main campaign, which has us fighting across Europe to stop Nazis, online versus multiplayer for the big matches to prove your skill, and zombies, the undead shooting spree fans have always loved. Each of these are changed from any version you've seen in previous games, so I figured we'd go through them individually and talk about what's great and what kinda sucks. Let's start with the story mode, since I think that's where most people dive in first. It seems like history can accidentally paint soldiers of the past as these perfect heroes. Men and women who had no fear and didn't mind storming the beaches of Normandy and being shot to pieces all in order to preserve freedom. The reality of it though is that the armies clashing in the field were really just made up of extremely young people. Kids basically, who knew that doing the right thing is supposed to be hard, so they enlisted to defeat Hitler. I think that Call of Duty is trying to convey this deep meaning, and in a way they do in their own insane style. The gameplay itself is still the amazing tight combat that we're accustomed to, but they mix in these cutscenes that are almost silly, they're so ridiculous. You've got evil drill sergeants, midnight bombing runs, and even a weird dream sequence about a family calmly fighting off wolves. It's probably for the best that you just turn off your brain and ignore all the plot, because what really shines here is the raw fighting. This time, everything is paced much more like an old school shooter. You have limited health, bullets litter the ground, and enemies die easily. All the clips you're seeing here are recorded on regular difficulty, and the only reason I say that is due to the fact that each bad guy I touch seems to melt like a hot knife through butter. You might want to crank this up to hard mode when you play through it, or you're not going to really face a challenge. An aspect that does make things a little bit tougher and that I really like is that we don't have regenerating health anymore. You have one health bar, and as it gets chipped away, when it's over, it's over. The only way to get your health back is to actually find medkits. These are given to you by other soldiers are laying on the ground. Essentially, this is just a system to make sure you take things slow and work with your squad mates, since as long as you're near them, they'll keep giving you cover fire and toss you more healing whenever you need it. Speaking of your AI partners, these dudes are smart, and maybe a little too smart. My biggest problem with the campaign is that these soldiers can pretty much handle everything on their own. In some of the sloppiest situations, I could duck down and start applying bandages to myself, and by the time I stood up, everyone was dead. That on its own is fine, and yet there's the added twist that the Nazis like to aim for them before you. As you get further into the missions and have less of an army behind you, this doesn't happen as much, but it still feels strange not to really be the hero of this game. We're just a random soldier with a rifle, a little bit of training, and the prayer that he lives long enough to see his wife again. What really surprised me though was that there are actually a lot of sneaking levels of this, and they're extremely well designed. In one, you're a French spy in a Nazi-dominated Paris, and you have to try and meet with a traitor within an enemy building. You have to memorize your paperwork and blend into the crowd, and be ready to answer some tough questions if you get pulled aside by an officer. This entire scene culminates with you buying explosives off the double agent, using them to blow open a hole in their base, and literally watching the resistance fighters of France run out of their homes and use any weapon they can to start killing Nazis. It is a fantastic sight to see, and it truly feels like the craziest piece of a real history book. Stuff like this really went down somewhere, and getting to be there at the center of the action is intense. With that being said, there are also a lot of really goofy moments sprinkled in, because this is a Call of Duty game. They can't resist having over-the-top scenes like running down a tower as a church bell collapses, or struggling with an enemy soldier to stab him with a knife before he can kill you. The more big and wide a mission is, the more I seem to enjoy it, because it didn't force all this over-the-top junk that makes it seem like we're trapped in a cheesy movie with too many special effects. In general, I think if you totally skip the campaign, you wouldn't be missing out on anything super unique. The multiplayer, on the other hand, is where this game is crazy good. Sinking back into the boots of a World War II cadet is perfect after dealing with so many years of jump jets and space combat like the recent entries in the series had. While the futuristic Call of Duties honestly played fantastic, there was no real sense of weight to it. It was like playing laser tag with your friends, whereas now there's actually a very heavy power to each match. Storming into destroyed cities, sneaking around corners, and trying to get any kill you can is awesome. It feels so skill-based again. No longer is it just a matter of who built the most flawless machine gun covered in weed skins and stacked all his perks right. Loadouts have been cut down to the bare necessities. All that really matters is, what do you want to shoot with, and how do you want to shoot it? As you level up your character in specific guns, you unlock features like scopes, sights, and guns, along with special perks like making it where you can pick up ammo on the run, or see your enemies through walls if they killed you last. There are so many maps and game types this time around. It clearly seems like they focused so much of the development specifically on this. They wanted to give us a wide variety of places to capture and people to shoot. In all my hours of trying to sneak in headshots or just trying to avoid getting blasted myself, I just felt like every moment mattered. When I'm there trying to just one-up my enemies, it's all so fantastic. I'm not having to worry about all these multi-layered parts. It's nice to be back in a time with just such flat maps. You can see that since there's not all the jump jets and robots, they were able to just keep things very contained. The slowed down pacing is a very good fit. I like that even though my player dies really quick and my enemies go down fast, since the maps are large and you're having to run around, you get more chances to catch your breath and really think about what your next move will be, or coordinate with your teammates. This is especially true in the new game type War. In this, squads are competing to try and take over a specific objective. There's several checkpoints that must be dominated on the way to it. Say you're trying to escort a giant tank, then you may need to knock out the radio tower so they can't call in reinforcements, build a bridge for it to go across, and then take out their rival AA to make sure that your tank is safe all the way through. However, the enemies aren't going to let you just exactly walk through there, so they're going to be stopping you every way they can by building up their own barriers and laying traps. It's a versus match type that in my opinion is the most competitive. Good players really rise to the top, and I've seen people who are absolutely amazing stop an entire enemy team in their tracks solo. For example, right here, I got pretty lucky and everybody was looking out towards the beach of Normandy. I managed to set some explosives, knock out some barriers, and get behind enemy lines. Since they hadn't detected me yet, I was able to walk straight into their bunker and gun them all down from behind. This halted the Nazis for a full 30 seconds, allowing an open window for my team to advance, which ended up winning us the entire game. It's so refreshing to see a game where there's really that multiplayer focus again, where it's not just about you being alone. You can if you want, but I think that the entire experience is a lot more enriched with teammates. Well, unless you're teamed up with some kid named like CushGod69. There is still a lot of little kids with microphones, but for the most part, if you're playing with people, this is the best COD yet for multiplayer. After all that positive talk, I hate to do this, but we gotta talk loot crates, because honestly, they're awful. Activision has gone on record that they make over $1 billion a year with these microtransactions, so of course they have to cram them in here. Opening these up can give you new outfits, special taunts, or, well, the worst part of all, guns. Very, very special guns, like this shotgun, which gives you a bonus to experience points. Basically, this is an ultra-strong weapon that if I use will make me level up faster than my enemies. The only way that I've found to earn these within the game without spending money is to do daily quests. For example, something like kill 25 players with a rifle. You can do 3 of these bonus objectives each day, which means just by default you could pretty easily earn about 21 loot crates each week. The system is very clearly built to try and get you to buy these though. So instead of having a normal lobby, you're actually sitting on the beach of Normandy, and all around you are other players opening loot crates. Specifically, this is clearly made to make it where we're having to watch other players. That alone is very, very creepy and trying to push you into buying stuff, but it plays all these happy sounds when someone else gets something good. If you open up a bad loot crate, you don't get a sound. However, if you get an epic or some sort of really powerful gun, then it's going to play a little song so everybody else on the beach knows that you are a loot crate winner. That is such an annoyingly greedy practice, and I hate that that's put in here, because everything else about the multiplayer is so great. Seriously, I see myself playing this for months and months and months, maybe even years, because it is just so highly refined. What really irks me though, down to my core, is the fact that the loot crates are in zombie mode as well. This match type has been copied in almost every other game you can imagine, but it's still being handled best here. The basic premise is that you're a team of art dealers who are trying to go into Nazi Germany to save paintings. Well, it turns out that somehow all these Nazis have been experimenting with the occult and all these relics, which is now making horrible, horrible monsters. Right now, there's only one map for this game type, which puts you in a little nice European village. You start out in a really small courtyard with zombies showing up in waves. With every kill you or your team racks up, you get zombie dollars. These can be spent for new weapons or to open up more of the map. Spending these zombucks will open up gates and let you go further into the city. Now, this is actually super cool because everything about this environment is so mysterious. There are valves you can turn that'll open up places where you can go underground, or you can actually find this one secret pathway that'll take you down into a laboratory. Once we got down to this strange scientific area, we started just pressing buttons and seeing what we could do. There was a crane with some sort of electromagnet thing going along it, which was drawing more zombies. By following it, we were able to plug it into a new console and open up even deeper, more weird areas. I feel like it takes so much to surprise gamers now because we've seen so much. We've beaten so many games, we've walked across so many worlds, we've done everything. But this game genuinely caught me totally off guard. I loved it. Well, except for one thing. Each time you level up for doing good, you get more unlockables and can customize your character more, but you also get zombie loot crates. Yes, that's right, these are here too. And these actually have some pretty powerful buffs. So these crates seem to have all sorts of extra things that can help your team out, like a one-time use item that makes it where everybody instantly gets full ammo, or something where you can revive yourself. That way, if you get really beat up or cornered by the undead, you can pick yourself up instead of needing a teammate. It is ridiculous that this is allowed. I feel like it completely breaks the dynamic of what makes this so cool. Zombies has always been a mode about the struggle, about the fear of failure, but now I know that the best players can literally just buy loot crates and be awesome. This aspect of the game really sums up Call of Duty World War II so nicely. It's a game where every moment is fun in some way. There's always something to do, there's something to shoot, there's a place to go, and everything will keep you excited. But right on the rim of it is a special sense of greed that is always waiting to try and take a little bit more of your cash. Overall, I have to say that this title is probably the most surprising thing I've played all year, because I didn't think I would just love it so much, and if it wasn't for those couple flaws, I'd like it a heck of a lot more. Okay, so we've heard some good and some bad, but let's go to the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving Call of Duty World War II an 8 out of 10. If you're somebody who's a big fan of multiplayer shooters, this is probably a must-buy. I'm glad I got it, and I'm going to be playing it for a long time to come. But hopefully, they patch something about these microtransactions to make them not quite so invasive. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. This has been DreamcastGuy with another review. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. I hate to admit this, but man, zombie mode legitimately scared me. There were a couple times where I went around the corner and something popped out and I went, ah! Oh, hi. I'm just working on the next video. If you want to see what it is, go ahead and click this button and you can subscribe. Also, if you click these video links, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. Now I'm just going to sit here for a minute and wait for you to subscribe. Oh, I guess I could put on these giant glasses. I literally found these on a roller coaster.